Hi, Muskies. I couldn't make it to the reunion, so I made this mashup for anyone who might be interested in my life since college. In September 1968, I started graduate school in English at Eastern Kentucky University. I met a woman, got laid a few times, and thought I was in love. In December, I got my draft notice. I was able to complete my semester, and I enlisted in the Navy in February 1969. I got married in September that year and got orders for sea duty in November. I made 2 deployments to the Mediterranean aboard the aircraft carrier Forrestal. Then I had a year of shore duty at Atlantic Fleet Headquarters in Norfolk. That allowed me to enroll in the MA program at Old Dominion University, part-time at first, then full-time starting in 1973. And I finished my master's that summer. I taught a year of high school in Suffolk, Virginia, then moved to Baton Rouge and entered the doctoral program in English at Louisiana State. After a year there, my wife left me. I started dating and eventually married a woman, Carla Morales, whom I'd met in the graduate program at LSU. We have stayed together for 39 years as a married couple. I defended my dissertation in the spring of 1979 and started a teaching job at Doane College in Nebraska that fall. I worked there 2 years and moved to Bethlehem, PA for a job at Moravian College. I retired from Moravian in 2014. I used to tell my students that I got my degree in college, but I got my education in the Navy. Truly, I met some radical dudes, draftees ducking the Army as I was. I started smoking weed and opened my eyes to the real situation. One thing I learned was that the U.S. military exists to control and intimidate the world and to protect capitalism, not the people of the USA. Once my mind was open, I started moving further left politically, and I haven't stopped. After the disastrous presidential election of 2016, a former student prodded me to activism through the local chapter of Showing Up for Racial Justice, a group that I like to call the White Folks Auxiliary to Black Lives Matter. Learning about whiteness has been challenging and rewarding, so you can call me a proud progressive and an anti-racist. In the mid-70s, I quit eating meat, with the exception of wild-caught or locally fresh fish, and I haven't turned back. You can call me vegetarian, too. So I taught college English for 35 years at 2 small liberal arts colleges. I think having graduated from Muskingum helped me get my first job. Then, having taught at a small college helped me get my second job. In the Navy, I had become a journalist. At LSU, I took a couple of courses in the J School. Both my teaching jobs focused, at least initially, on teaching journalism. I got practical experience in the Navy and in newspapers in Lincoln, Nebraska and Allentown, PA. While teaching full-time at Moravian, I worked as a copy editor for the Morning Call newspaper for 10 years. At the turn of the century, I was named Director of Writing across the curriculum at Moravian College. Eventually, I moved into multimodal composition, and through that, I've published a book, made a movie and a mashup, edited sound, and started a blog. My wife and I have traveled to Ireland many times. Twice I led student tours there. Our favorite place on this side of the Atlantic is Ocracoke Island, North Carolina, which is really sort of in the Atlantic Ocean. We have gone there every June since 1990 and stayed in the same deer cottage for 20 of those visits. After retirement, I became involved with a local organization called the Celtic Cultural Alliance, where my main responsibility is coordinating the Bethlehem Celtic Reading Group. Last year, some of us put on a stage show about wild Irish women, which had been our topic for the year. The show was videoed, and you can see it on YouTube just by searching for Wild Irish Women. You can also see me in my kilt in that video. I also taught 1 year as an adjunct at Penn State's Abington campus, and I have stayed active in professional associations, Conference on College Composition and Communication, and the Philadelphia Writing Program Administrators. Though retired, I still identify as a writing teacher. Some of you may remember Dennis Berry from our class. He and I resumed friendship in the mid-90s, meeting for dinner a couple of times a year. Dennis suggested he and I bicycle across the country when we turned 60. That trip didn't happen. Dennis's suggestion got me started with serious biking. Not on roads, strictly on trails. I am fortunate to have several great trails close to where I live. On my blog, there is a multimodal essay about biking and rhetoric. Go to www.rhetorman.com. Some of my other work lives there too. 20 years ago, depression entered my life, triggered by the sudden death of our dog Mookie. I'm not as bluesy now as I was then, but I'm still under psychiatric treatment. Mental illness is a bitch. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. After surgery, and 2 years later, 7 weeks of radiation treatment, cancer cells were still in my body. In 2014, I moved my care to Temple Fox Chase Cancer Center in Philadelphia. They put me on a hormone suppression regimen, which has been effective in keeping the cancer in check. Technically, I am not cancer-free. Actually, I might as well be. The meds I'm on now do carry side effects that hasten the aging of bones and muscles. Counter that, I've been biking 8 or 9 months of the year and lifting weights 2 or 3 times a week. Ironically, I'm as healthy as I've ever been. To quote The Who, "I hope I die before I get old."